At the end of the topic, you will be able to state the viral diseases in human, discuss the mode of transmission of TB and typhoid, sketch the life cycle of malarial parasite, list the symptoms of ringworm diseases.
Virus. Virus particles are extremely small and can be seen only with an electron microscope. They are pathogenic in nature. They live as parasites inside the cells of plants and animals. They cannot remain alive without host cells. They cause harm to organisms when they enter a host cell. They produce copies of themselves inside the cell and then break out of the host cell to infect more cells. A particular virus infects a specific host only. Some viruses are capable of infecting bacteria. Those viruses are called bacteriophages. Each virus on an attack of organisms produces a specific type of symptom. Viruses have deoxyribose nucleic acid or ribose nucleic acid as their genetic material. The genetic material is covered by an outer protein coat. Study of viruses is called virology. Viral diseases in man are widespread around the world. The diseases are acquired by transmission from one person to another, which makes them infectious. Some of the common viral diseases in man are influenza, measles, chickenpox, mumps, and poliomyelitis. Influenza is commonly called as flu. Symptoms are sore throat, fever, headache, runny nose, and muscle ache.
More than 100 strains of viruses are responsible for causing common cold in man. Children are more susceptible to common cold than adults. Click to know the symptoms, mode of transmission, and preventive measures. Symptoms: inflammation of upper respiratory passage, nasal epithelium, flow of mucus, headache, slight rise in temperature, etc. Transmission: it spreads mostly through the droplets discharged from the nose and the mouth of the patient in the process of talking, laughing, sneezing, etc. It may also spread through close inanimate objects like handkerchief, bedding, clothes, utensils, toilets, articles, etc. called fomites. Control and prevention: there are no effective measures to control common cold. However, a good nourishing food, avoiding contact with patients, and wearing suitable clothing are suggested to keep away from common cold.
Bacteria are the important group of living organisms that are found everywhere. They are microscopic and unicellular. Most of the bacteria are helpful to humans, whereas some are harmful. Air, water, and food carry bacteria from one person to another. Harmful bacteria act as pathogens and cause various diseases. Any sort of sickness caused by bacteria is called bacterial diseases. Bacterial diseases are highly infectious and spread rapidly in a short time, affecting large number of people. Cholera, typhoid, diphtheria, whooping cough, tetanus, tuberculosis, and leprosy are some of the common bacterial diseases. Salmonella typhi is the bacteria responsible for causing typhoid. This disease is characterized by symptoms like continuous fever, abdominal pain, coated tongue, headache, and diarrhea. A rash called rose spots appears on skin in some cases of typhoid. Flying insects carry the germs from the excreta of the infected person to the food and water that are kept open. Due to dehydration, more amount of water will be lost from the patient's body, so intravenous fluids and electrolytes are given to the patient immediately. Antibiotics are given to kill the bacteria. To prevent the disease, vaccination is recommended. It is advisable to drink boiled water and eat well-cooked food. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium tuberculosis. People with tuberculosis cough highly and suffer with pain in the chest. Sometimes they cough up blood and show weight and appetite loss, extreme tiredness along with fever. TB bacteria spread from sneezes, coughs, and spits of the infected person to those around. Flying insects also carry the bacteria from the sputum to food and water. In some conditions, the infected people remain unaware of the infection because of the milder symptoms. This condition is called latent tuberculosis. There are two types of tuberculosis: pulmonary and miliary. Pulmonary tuberculosis affects a person's lungs, whereas miliary tuberculosis infects the lungs and gradually spread to the heart, liver, and brain. It also affects skin and bones. Regular anti-tuberculosis treatment along with good nutritious diet and healthy environment is advisable. BCG vaccination protects childhood infection of this disease. Diseases caused by protozoans in man. Protozoans are unicellular organisms. Some are free-living and some are parasitic and pathogenic. They cause variety of diseases in humans by entering the human body through contaminated food and water. Flies and mosquitoes act as vectors in contaminating water and food substances. Two of the common diseases caused by protozoa are malaria and dysentery. Malaria is an infectious disease caused by a protozoan parasite, Plasmodium falciparum. Malaria spreads from one person to another by the female Anopheles mosquito. When the mosquito sucks blood of the malarial infected person, the parasite enters the body of the mosquito. When the mosquito sucks blood from a healthy person, it injects the parasite to the healthy person. The parasite infects the red blood cells and hepatic cells, causing malaria. Symptoms of malaria. Malaria is characterized by cycles of fever and chills accompanied by muscle aches and headache. Patients may develop nausea, vomiting, cough, and diarrhea. The disease leads to the loss of red blood cells, leading to anemia. People with severe malaria can develop bleeding problems, liver failure, kidney failure, coma, and can die from the complications caused. Amoebic dysentery. Amoebic dysentery is the disease caused by a protozoan parasite, Entamoeba histolytica. Symptoms of this disease include diarrhea with mucus or blood and pain in the abdomen. It may also be associated with nausea and vomiting, loss of appetite, and rise of temperature. Lack of caution on diets, consumption of infected food, poor hygiene, drinking impure water are some of the causative reasons for dysentery. Proper attention to personal hygiene is very important to prevent dysentery. Wash hands with soap thoroughly after using the toilet. Soiled clothing should be washed with a disinfectant and sun-dried. After usage of disposable plastic or rubber gloves, wash hands thoroughly. Clean toilets, flush handles, door handles, and taps frequently with soap water and always use disinfectants. Drink purified or boiled water. Do not eat uncooked vegetables and meat. Chlorinate water at regular intervals and follow clean sewage treatment plans at home.
Causes. 3 different genera of fungi, namely Epidermophyton, Microsporum, and Trichophyton, cause ringworm. Symptoms. The above fungi live on the dead cells of outer layer of skin in man and cause superficial infections in skin, hair, nail, etc. and form patches and itching. Transmission. By direct contact or through fomites such as towels, combs, etc. Control and prevention. Avoid contact with infected person and articles used by them. In this topic, you have learnt viruses are living substances inside the host cell and behave as dead particles outside the host cell. Contains nucleic acid, DNA or RNA and a protein cover. Some of the bacterial diseases in man are tuberculosis, leprosy, cholera, typhoid, diphtheria, tetanus, plague, pneumonia, syphilis, and gonorrhea. Certain species of fungi are parasitic on man and cause ringworm, attacking the keratinized layer of the skin, destroying it in circular patches. Protozoans are unicellular animalcules. Some parasitize man and cause diseases such as malaria, amoebic dysentery, sleeping sickness, and so on. At the end of this topic, you will be able to describe immunity, distinguish between antigen and antibody, categorize the types of immunity, list out the vaccines, dosages, and administering age. Immunity is the defense system of our body. It is nothing but a kind of protection against or having resistance towards the infectious organisms and their toxic products. The toxins produced by the infectious organisms or any foreign protein entering the body are called antigens. The immune system of our body, namely blood plasma, lymph and lymphocytes, etc., analyze the chemical nature of the antigens and produce the suitable substances called antibodies to detoxify the antigens. Antibodies are protein in nature. Immunity is classified basically into two types, namely natural and acquired. Natural immunity is available right from the birth, and acquired immunity is the one which is developed after birth. Acquired immunity is again divided into active and passive. In case of active acquired immunity, antibodies are produced by antigenic stimulus, whereas in passive, it is preformed from birth. Active acquired immunity in turn is divided into natural and artificial. Natural active acquired immunity is developed after recovering from a particular pathogenic infection, but artificial active acquired immunity is developed by administering vaccines. Passive acquired immunity is again divided into two types, namely natural passive acquired and artificial passive acquired. In natural passive acquired, antibodies for the baby is got through the mother's milk. In artificial passive acquired, antibodies are extracted from other animals and then introduced into the child's body. The immunity which trails with us right from our birth is called natural or innate immunity. Natural immunity enables an individual to resist the diseases. For example, animals are never affected by the diseases that plants contract. Acquired or specific immunity is the resistance against some infectious diseases after an infection of that particular disease. There are two different kinds of acquired immunity, namely active acquired immunity and passive acquired immunity. In passive acquired immunity, a ready-made antibody is introduced from outside rather than stimulating the body to produce antibody with antigenic stimulus. Passive acquired immunity is of two types: natural passive acquired immunity and artificial passive acquired immunity. When the ready-made antibody is taken from the mother's blood into the fetus, it is called as natural passive acquired immunity. If the ready-made antibody is given to an individual which has to take from some other animal's extract, it is called as artificial passive acquired immunity, but this is not a permanent immunity. Immunization means administering vaccines to prevent the disease. Immunization develops artificial active acquired immunity. Through immunization and inoculation, a greater number of people are protected against the diseases. BCG tuberculosis vaccine prevents tuberculosis. DPT vaccine prevents diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. DPT is otherwise called as triple antigen. MMR vaccine prevents mumps, measles, and rubella. DT vaccine prevents diphtheria and tetanus, and this vaccine is otherwise called as dual antigen. TT vaccine prevents the children from tetanus and toxoid. The immunization schedule is a chart which indicates the different stages at which the vaccinations and inoculations have to be administered to safeguard children against different diseases. The table indicates the names of vaccines, their doses,